Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where OP's brother is doing unspeakable things to his 4-year-old daughter. Am I the butthole for telling extended family that my brother was an abusive piece of garbage and taking his ex-wife's side in the divorce? My brother was married to Katrina for 8 years. He has a 10-year-old daughter from a one-night stand. The biological mom is not in the picture. Katrina is the only mom that my niece, Elise, has ever known. Katrina became a stay-at-home mom when Elise was 2, and they've been inseparable since. Katrina wanted to adopt Elise, and Elise's biological mom also wanted the adoption to happen, but her dad refused. When Elise was around 4, my brother started using her to control Katrina. If they would argue, or if she wouldn't do what he wanted, he'd either hurt Elise, what the fuck? Or leave with her for weeks or months at a time, telling her that she was never going to see Katrina again. Katrina wasn't able to do anything about it because she didn't have any rights to Elise. Katrina finally filed for divorce last year, and my brother took Elise again. After a few months, CPS got involved, and Elise was removed from his custody. Elise is temporarily staying with me while Katrina fights for custody. Elise refuses to talk about what happened whenever her dad took her, but she's now terrified of men, including my husband. And she wakes up screaming, and she even had to spend some time in an inpatient facility. She's doing intensive outpatient treatment now and is slowly improving. Katrina and I have been in contact, and I've been letting her visit Elise. These visits are usually 4 hours at a time, maybe 4 days a week. Katrina makes food for Elise, they lay on the couch and watch her favorite movies, and she gets Elise to do some schoolwork. She basically just goes back to being Elise's mom during these visits. Extended family has been asking why Elise is staying with me and not her dad. My brother said that it's because he travels a lot for work, but I wasn't going to lie to protect him, so I told the truth. He's an abusive piece of trash who hurt his daughter to control his wife. Then, word got around that Katrina gets to visit as much as she and Elise can handle, while he isn't allowed to see his kid. Now, immediate family are mad at me for airing my brother's dirty laundry, spreading rumors, and taking his ex's side in all of this. So, first of all, OP, you're not a butthole for lying. You're simply saying the truth. Secondly, if your brother did to that little girl what it sounds like he did to that little girl, then he can honestly go die in a fire. Why would anyone want to take the side of someone like that? OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Your brother gets 5 out of 5 buttholes. The title of the next post is, My husband says anyone but me would have found this funny. We were watching One Life, a movie about the Holocaust and saving children. Hopefully you've seen it. When we started the movie, I reminded him that I am particularly sensitive to anything Holocaust related. Anyway, we got to the part where people were writing in about being willing to foster kids. One letter said, we can take a boy under 11 years old, preferably brown hair. I said, that's messed up. Can you imagine? These babies are at the risk of death, and you're worried about their hair color? His response, yeah, lol, I'd like a girl, 18, blonde hair. I am totally disgusted. You know those moments where you just lose respect for someone? I'm sorry, but that was one for me. Just gross and so disrespectful to not only the topic, but to me as his wife. So, Reddit, he swears anyone on earth but me would have laughed. If I'm wrong, okay. So, what do you say? Yo, guys, which one is worse here? Which one's worse? Implying that you want to cheat on your wife, making fun of Holocaust victims who have lost their parents and are fleeing a war, or the incredibly inappropriate power dynamic of fostering an 18-year-old and then expecting intercourse out of them, which is the implied joke here, obviously. They're all really extremely bad, so you're kind of spoiled for choice here. Am I the butthole for telling my daughter to hit below the belt? I'm a 43-year-old woman, and my daughter Becky, who's 10, has struggled with leukemia since she was 5 years old. She's finally nearing remission, we hope. As a side effect of the chemotherapy, she lost her hair. She's a bit self-conscious, and she found a wig to be very uncomfortable, but everyone at her school is quite supportive. She usually wears a baseball bat or a beanie. She's never run into any bullying because of this, until now. My daughter wanted to go to a YMCA day camp this summer and her doctor cleared her. Of course, I signed her up. Unfortunately, there's a clique of girls that have been straight up vile. My daughter came home crying the first day because the queen of this clique, Jenny, gave her the nickname Lex, as in Lex Luthor, who's bald. And she wouldn't stop when my daughter asked her to. I went to the counselor the next morning and asked, "What the hell?" He said that he talked with Jenny and the clique about it and that they'll stop. But they didn't. It just got worse. They started a game of steal Jenny's hat and keep it away from her. The counselor was some feckless teenage dude who did nothing to stop all this. My daughter wants to try and stay in the camp because she was making friends there who actually stood up for her. I decided to arm my daughter with a bit of secret adult information. Jenny is the daughter of a couple who's going through a nasty public divorce. I told my daughter that the next time Jenny harasses her, she should tell Jenny that she's the reason for her parents' divorce and that they both want to get rid of her. Ooh, ouch! It's probably not true, but certainly a devastating insult to a tween. This worked quite well. Becky hit Jenny with a divorce slam yesterday, and it was super effective. Becky was beaming when I picked her up. Jenny was inconsolable, and the counselor looked like he had just come back from Vietnam. He asked for a sit-down with us and told me that I shouldn't encourage my daughter to insult other campers. He said that Jenny was just stressed from the divorce and was misplacing her anger on Becky. I said that my daughter is not going to be a punching bag, and I'll continue to teach and encourage her to hit back. Am I the butthole? Yo, hold on. Why does the girl who's going through a divorce get sympathy, but the 10-year-old with cancer gets no sympathy? Why does it feel sometimes like the policy for schools when it comes to bullying is to have the opposite reaction that the school should have? OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I will agree that that's a pretty brutal insult for a 10-year-old girl, but she started it. You can't bully a kid with cancer and then be like, "Oh, boo-hoo, don't bully me back." Give me a break. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving Jenny 2 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for telling my wife that I would rather her sister live in our house than her? I'm a 35-year-old man and my wife is 35. We've been married for 6 years. 7 months ago, my wife gave birth to our daughter, Sadie. Ever since my wife gave birth, she's been getting increasingly rude and refuses to do any work around the house and says that she's still healing from giving birth, even though she always goes out with her friends. 3 months ago, my wife's stepsister, Hannah, who's 25, called my wife and asked her if she could temporarily move in with us. She lived in a rundown apartment building, and the tenants recently had to leave due to unsafe conditions. Hannah didn't have enough money to get another place right away, hence her asking. My wife seemed very eager to let Hannah move in, despite always claiming that they never get along. They came to the agreement that Hannah would help out with Sadie in exchange for staying with us rent-free so that she could save up for a deposit for a proper apartment. Everything was fine at first. Hannah has ADHD, and it took a week to adjust to living with us. During that week, Hannah did all the chores my wife had been neglecting without us asking her to. I tried to tell her that she didn't have to do all these chores, but my wife waved me off and said that Hannah's ADHD makes her want to do it, and Hannah backed her up. After Hannah cleaned something, my wife would thank Hannah a lot. I would thank her as well, but my wife did it constantly, which seemed strange to me. My wife dismissed my questions and said that it's normal to do that for people with ADHD. Since then, my wife has pushed all childcare and any household chores that I don't do onto Hannah. She's also been increasingly rude to Hannah and yelling at her if she makes a mistake on the first try of doing something. I tried to intervene when I was at home, but my wife would accuse me of wanting to let Hannah lay around the house being lazy because she's an R word. My wife and I got into a huge fight about her using that word to describe Hannah, and we didn't speak for a few days. My breaking point came when I found out that my wife had been making Hannah pay her rent and buy baby supplies. I pay all the bills, and the money Hannah had been giving my wife was not going towards the house. My wife was using it to go out with her friends. My wife also made Hannah pay for food. I usually give my wife the money for food, and she bought snacks for herself with Hannah's money. I had another fight with my wife where she said that Hannah was lazy, and if she didn't like her rules, then Hannah could sleep on the street and get out of her house. That's when I told my wife that it's my house because she doesn't pay any bills. And at this point, she doesn't do anything except be as lazy as what she accuses Hannah of being, so I would rather live with Hannah. My wife got quiet and has been refusing to talk to me or Hannah for the past few days, and I'm starting to think that I crossed a line. Am I the butthole? And just to clarify, I have no romantic or sexual feelings for Hannah. And even if I did, Hannah's a lesbian. And even if she weren't, I wouldn't take advantage of her by making a move on her when she's being dependent on me for housing. Please stop with the comments suggesting that I marry Hannah. And also, my wife doesn't have postpartum depression. OP, my friend, it sounds like you're headed for divorce. Maybe your wife can turn this around, but considering that she's lying to you, stealing from her sister, and basically ignoring her newborn baby, I'd say there isn't much room for redemption here. OP, I'm giving you and Hannah 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your wife 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for telling the family of my husband's affair baby to either come get the kid or I'm calling Child Protective Services? I'm a 53-year-old woman, and my soon-to-be ex-husband, Roger, who's 47, whom I forgave for his affair, came home with a baby 4 months ago. His girlfriend, who's 22, whoa, that's a 25-year age gap, couldn't handle it anymore and brought the baby to him at work and left. To the best of his knowledge, the mom is now in Spain. I allowed him to stay so long as I didn't have to do anything with the baby. Anything. Well, about a month ago, Roger had a heart attack. It didn't kill him, more the pity, but he's very weak and incapable of doing anything for himself. Since he's not up and about, he can't care for his child. He also can't drop off and pick up his son at daycare. I've been helping, but now I'm done. My kids are full grown. I shouldn't be having grandkids anytime soon. I don't have any desire to care for a baby. I told Roger that I want a divorce, and I contacted the mother's parents. I know the girl's father through friends. I told them that they had until Friday to come get their grandkid, or I was calling CPS. They just now left with the baby, but they scolded me for being so cold towards a baby that had done me no harm. I'm indifferent towards that child. Roger is recovering and I'll be moving out. The house is in his name, but I've never contributed to it. I have the equivalent of 22 years of rent and interest put away, and as per our prenup, my savings are my own. I work, and I don't need anything out of this marriage except myself. My kids tried telling me to stay and help their father. I said that they were welcome to come over and help him with cleaning himself and the baby. Both declined what I felt was a fair offer. I don't feel that I'm acting badly. However, Roger, our kids, his child's family, and a few mutual friends think that I am. Perhaps writing this out and seeing the responses will give me clarity. Yo, let me get this straight. So the woman who gets cheated on and doesn't want to raise the affair baby is the bad guy here. But the husband who cheated and the mother who gave birth and then just pieced out to another country are not the bad guys? How is OP the one who's getting a bad rap here? OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your husband and the mom 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving the people who criticized you 2 out of 5 buttholes. My common-law husband is in Dubai, and his side piece showed up at my door with their baby. Am I the butthole for kicking her out even though she's basically homeless? I'm a 40-year-old woman and my husband is 41. We've been together for 10 years, and I consider those years to be very loving and happy, but apparently not for him since he has a side piece, obviously. I make furniture and make around, 1 million euros per year. My husband is a teacher. It goes without saying that I provide for us. I don't ask my husband what he does with his salary. We live way below our means, however, because we're both minimalists, but we have a big house, nice cars, and lots of art. Everything belongs to me, however. Apparently he met his side piece, who's 25, under false pretenses. And he told her that he and I were legally married, so he owned half my company and everything else that I own. When she got pregnant, he started spending his salary on her. I wasn't tipped off because I didn't know what he did with his money. Now he's in Dubai on vacation, and her lease on her apartment expired, so she just showed up at my door with her baby. She told me that she was his girlfriend and that he was getting a divorce, so she might as well live in his house and I could live in a hotel because I could afford it. She didn't have any money or a home. She literally refused to leave, so I called the cops and locked myself in the greenhouse. When the cops came, she was literally unpacking the child's clothes in the living area. They escorted her out. I was very shaken. Later, I found out all the details that I included above. My husband's mother thought that I was the butthole for kicking out a little baby on the street. She said that's her only grandson. She said that I used and abused my money and power to control everything around me. But honestly, my husband makes $60K a year. So if, as I found out later, he gave her his salary, I can't understand why she'd be homeless and destitute. She had big designer bags, designer stroller, and these Van Cleef and Arpels jewelry when she showed up at my home. But now I'm the butthole? OP, just tell your mother-in-law that if she's so pressed about the grandbaby going out on the street, then why doesn't she take the baby in? It's really hard to have sympathy for a woman who actively knows that she's breaking up a marriage and that she's the side piece. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your husband and his mistress 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. That was r/slash Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.